Time to reflect on palindromes. Words or phrases that say the same thing whether you read them forwards or backwards. They can wow us. They can make us go, huh? They can even ask some of life's big questions. Over the next few minutes, we'll look at some of the longest, some of the oldest, and some of the strangest that the world has to offer. Now you may well say, don't bore me, Rob. Well, I won't. So sit up straight, rise, sir, or madam, and enjoy this deep dive vid into the world of palindromes. Be sure to pop your favourite one in the comments. Palindrome comes from the ancient Greek for to run back again. The longest word in English that's the same whether you run it forwards or backwards, according to the Oxford English Dictionary anyway, is tataratat. It's the sound of knocking at a door, and it was actually used by James Joyce in Ulysses. It's onomatopoeia, and you can be pretty sure that James Joyce knew he was creating a palindrome when he coined that word. So what's the longest incidental palindrome in the English language? Well, that is detartrated, according to the Guinness Book of Records. It's the past tense of untartrating something. But if you move beyond just single words, you open up a whole world of palindromic possibility. You may have heard of some of the more famous palindromic phrases in English. For example, able was I ere I saw Elba. Now that often gets attributed to Napoleon Bonaparte because it mentions Elba, the island to which he was exiled. But he obviously didn't say it. I mean, for a start he spoke French, and also that palindrome didn't appear until a good couple of decades after his death. But it's a satisfying one, also because when you do turn it around, all the spaces are still in the right place. That's not the same for another of the most famous palindromes. A man, a plan, a canal, Panama. Now this one's satisfying because it's true. Someone had to come up with the idea for the Panama Canal, and all of the main suspects are men. We can quickly improve on it though by throwing in a cat. And we can add some more objects too, and it gets longer. In fact, this one has even been extended to a 540 word palindromic monster by just adding more nouns. This was actually generated by a computer in the 1980s, and it has used a little bit of artistic license, as much as a computer can, by using nouns such as atem and salt. Rather more artistically impressive though is this 224 word poem called Dammit I'm Mad. Not only is the title a palindrome, but so is the entire poem itself. Admittedly, it doesn't make an awful lot of sense, but it's impressive all the same. That was written by Dmitri Martin back in 1993. But wonderful new palindromes are being developed all the time, often by people who spend a surprising amount of their lives coming up with them. These people are known as palindromists, and they're a thriving community. In fact, they have their own magazine, and every year they hold a competition to see who's the best both backwards and forwards. There are even annual awards known as the Simmies. See what they've done there? And this year's main prize at the Simmies, or the top spot, was taken by a palindromist who wrote this wonderful, delicious sounding recipe for ragu, which is the same forwards and backwards. Although tuna in ragu. The same palindromist also came up with this very 2020 palindrome. Put it on, knot it up, walks a man in a mask. Law, put it on, knot it up. From the very recent to the almost ancient now, it turns out we've been making palindromes for millennia. Probably the first one was coined in the Garden of Eden when the two inhabitants were introducing themselves to one another, and when the first man said to Eve, "Madam, I'm Adam." Sorry, that's not a very good joke. We've probably been playing with palindromes for as long as we've been writing stuff down, but what's often cited as the oldest palindrome was actually discovered beneath the dust in the volcano-destroyed city of Pompeii. Etched into one of the walls there was this palindrome. Now its meaning is ambiguous. It says something about a farmer called Arepo, but what's amazing about it is it doesn't just work in 2 directions, it works in 4. What's extra amazing about it is the fact that this is known as the Sator square, and it's been found all over Europe from time periods spanning 1,000 years. We don't know what it means, we don't know why it's there, and we don't know who came up with it. Just a geeky little side fact, the Sator square apparently has some significance to the film Tenet. Not only is Tenet obviously the middle word, but all of the other words in there feature in the film in one way or another, be it through the names of companies in it, the surnames of characters in there, or the fact that the very first scene is in an opera house. I haven't seen Tenet. I'm told it's confusing, but if you have seen it, apparently that's quite an interesting fact. The Sator square is in Latin, not English. So let's have a look at some of the other palindromes offered up by other languages around the world. We should start off with French, because they've produced what I think is the longest palindrome in the world. It's a poem called Le Grand Palindrome, and it's more than 5,000 characters long. It begins, Grâce l'inégal palindrome. Why have I put that accent on? Is that my French accent? Anyway, it gets extra points for including the word palindrome in a palindrome. Away from French, you might like to impress your Spanish friends and maybe alarm them at the same time by yelling, "Ahí trota la tortilla!" which means, "There jogs the tortilla." Useful. And Italian friends are sure to be pleasantly surprised, if a little saddened, when you tell them, "I topi non avevano nipoti," which means the mouse has no grandchildren. You could also impress and depress your Russian friends with "A tot soup pustota." That soup is emptiness. The most German one I could find was "Pils mit Bier treibt im Slip," which means Pilsner with beer floats in the pants. Sort of gross, isn't it? Let's look at something beautiful. This palindrome from Chinese, which means Shanghai's water supply comes from the sea. Now let's just return to English for a few honourable mentions. First of all, the word swims, which is the longest word in English that has 180-degree rotational symmetry, meaning you can spin it around, and the word is still the same, font permitting, of course. Also, an honourable mention for the word toot, which is the longest word in English to have vertical symmetry, meaning you could stick a mirror down the middle and it would still read the same. Also, the word moom and the word otto count, but I can't work out what they are. I think an otto is a type of resin. I have no idea what a moom is. Another honourable mention goes to the word checkbook, which is the longest word in the English language with horizontal symmetry. It is beaten by the word okeechobee, but that's a proper noun, although it might well be the longest word with horizontal symmetry in the Hittite language from which it comes. And just finally, a mention for the word stressed, because that is what's called a Semordnilap, which means it does make sense backwards, but it's not the same word. In this case, it's desserts. Now call me Dr. Awkward, but I reckon that brings us to the end of this particular palindromic feast. I'm off to take a ride in my race car. It's a Toyota. Or is it a Civic? Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Do remember to like and subscribe, and let me know your favourite palindromes in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please do share it. And why not try watching it backwards? You may get a pleasant surprise. You won't. It won't make any sense. Eep, eep. I mean, bye-bye.